Timeless advice to guide young men. Orations for King Nicocles. By Isocrates. To Nicocles. When people habitually present you with items like clothing, bronze, or gold artifacts, or other valuable goods that they themselves need and you have in abundance, it becomes evident to me that they are not engaged in giving but in trading. They seem more adept at selling their wares than those in the actual business of trade. Personally, I believe the finest, most practical gift for me to offer and for you to receive would be guidance on the pursuits you should aim for and what you should avoid to govern your state and kingdom most effectively. When individuals lead private lives, various factors contribute to their education. Primarily, the absence of luxury and the need to daily consider their livelihood play a crucial role. Additionally, the laws governing their civic life, freedom of speech, and the open privilege for friends to criticize and enemies to point out faults contribute to their development. Moreover, the guidance left by poets from earlier times provides direction on how to live, so it's reasonable to expect them to become better individuals. However, kings lack such support. Rather than receiving admonition, they, who should be thoroughly trained, often live their entire lives without it once in authority. The majority of people don't interact with them, and those in their society often associate with them to gain favor. Despite being in charge of vast wealth and significant affairs, their misuse of these advantages has led many to debate whether it's better to choose the life of reasonably prosperous individuals in private stations or that of princes. When people admire the honors, wealth, and powers of kings, they see them as equals to gods. Yet, reflecting on their fears, dangers, and reviewing historical instances where monarchs were slain or forced to commit sins against loved ones, the judgment reverses. It's then considered better to live in any fashion than, at the cost of such misfortunes, rule over entire regions. The inconsistency arises from the misconception that the role of a king, like that of a priest, is one anyone can fill, whereas it is the most important human function requiring the utmost wisdom. Concerning specific courses of action, those associated with a king at the time should advise on how to handle situations optimally, preserving what is good and averting disaster. As for a king's general conduct, I will outline the objectives he should pursue and the pursuits he should engage in. Whether the completed gift lives up to the initial design is challenging to determine at the outset. Many writings, in both verse and prose, have sparked high expectations in the minds of their creators but, upon completion, have garnered a reputation far below their promise. Nevertheless, the mere attempt is worthwhile, to explore a field neglected by others and establish principles for monarchs. Educating individuals in private life benefits them alone, but redirecting those in positions of authority toward a virtuous life can benefit both rulers and their subjects. It provides greater security in office for kings and a milder government for the people. First and foremost, let's consider the function of kings. If we can encapsulate the essence of the entire matter in a general principle, it will enable us to speak more effectively about its various components. It's widely accepted that a king's duty is to relieve the state in distress, maintain prosperity, and elevate it when it's in a diminished state. These overarching goals guide the performance of daily duties. It's evident that those who undertake such responsibilities and make decisions on matters of great importance must not be idle or negligent. They need to ensure they surpass others in intelligence because the success or failure of their reign hinges on the way they cultivate their own minds. Hence, a king is called upon to train their soul just as an athlete is expected to train their body. The prizes for which kings strive every day in their roles surpass the rewards offered at all the public festivals in the world. This thought is crucial, and you must ensure that as you rise in rank, you also surpass others in virtue. Don't hold the view that diligence is beneficial in all other matters but ineffective in making us better and wiser as human beings. Don't consider humanity so unfortunate that, while we've discovered arts to tame wild beasts and enhance their worth, we are powerless to help ourselves in the pursuit of virtue. On the contrary, believe that education and diligence are highly potent in improving our nature. Associate yourself with the wisest individuals around you and seek out the counsel of wise men from afar whenever possible. Don't think you can afford to be ignorant of famous poets or sages. Listen to the poets, learn from the sages, and equip your mind to judge those inferior to you and emulate those superior. This training is crucial for becoming the kind of person needed to perform the duties of a king and govern the state effectively. However, the most significant challenge lies within yourself. Consider it monstrous for the worse to rule the better, and for the more foolish to give orders to those of greater wisdom. The more vehemently you condemn folly in others, the more diligently you will train your own understanding. So, this should be the starting point for those undertaking their duties. Additionally, one must be a lover of people and a lover of their country. Proper control over horses, dogs, men, or anything else can only be achieved by someone who takes pleasure in the objects they are duty-bound to care for. You must care for the people, and ruling acceptably to them should be your primary consideration. Recognize that all governments, be they oligarchies or others, have the longest lifespan when they best serve the masses. To be a wise leader of the people, prevent the multitude from experiencing or inflicting outrage. Ensure that the best among them receive honors, while the rest suffer no infringement of their rights. These are the fundamental and most important elements of good governance. When public ordinances and institutions lack a solid foundation, be open to altering and changing them. If possible, introduce innovative solutions that benefit your country. If that's not feasible, adopt successful practices from other nations. Strive for laws that are just, expedient, consistent with each other, and lead to minimal disputes with swift resolutions for your citizens. Wise legislation should possess all these qualities. Encourage industry for your people's benefit and discourage lawsuits so that they are more inclined to embrace productive endeavors willingly. When adjudicating matters in dispute, ensure your decisions are impartial and consistent, maintaining uniformity in your verdicts on the same issues. It is both just and beneficial for the judgments of kings in matters of justice to be consistent, akin to well-established laws. Manage the city as you would your ancestral estate, appointing positions splendidly and royally, and overseeing revenues strictly to maintain the goodwill of your people while ensuring sufficient resources. Demonstrate magnificence not through extravagant but fleeting expenditures. Instead, focus on the ways mentioned, the beauty of your possessions, and the benefits bestowed upon your friends. Such expenditures will be a lasting legacy during your lifetime and leave a valuable inheritance for future generations. In the worship of the gods, follow the traditions of your ancestors, but recognize that the noblest sacrifice and the highest devotion involve demonstrating yourself as a good and just person. Such individuals have a greater likelihood of receiving blessings from the gods than those who perform numerous animal sacrifices. When appointing individuals to office, prioritize those who are closest kin, but truly honor those who demonstrate unwavering loyalty. Understand that your most reliable bodyguards are the virtue of your friends, the loyalty of your citizens, and your own wisdom, as these are key to acquiring and maintaining royal authority. Keep a vigilant eye on the assets of your citizens, considering that extravagant spenders deplete your resources, while industrious individuals contribute to your wealth. All property within the state belongs to kings who govern it well. Throughout your life, uphold the value of truth to the extent that your word is more trustworthy than the oaths of others. Ensure that the city provides security and keeps its commitments to all foreigners. When dealing with those from abroad, prioritize those who seek to contribute rather than those who bring gifts, as honoring such individuals will earn you greater esteem globally. Relieve your citizens of unnecessary fears, and avoid subjecting innocent people to dread. Treat others as you wish to be treated, and refrain from acting in anger. Display sternness by addressing every action but kindness by ensuring that punishment is proportionate to the offense. Do not assert your authority through harshness or excessive severity in punishment, but by fostering the belief among your subjects that your judgment and plans for their welfare surpass their own. Equip yourself with knowledge of war and be prepared for it, yet prioritize peacefulness and avoid unjust aggression. Treat weaker states as you would expect stronger ones to treat you. Avoid unnecessary contention, and only assert your will where it benefits you. Do not perceive those who yield a point to their advantage as weak, but rather those who prevail at the cost of their own detriment. Consider great souls not as those who undertake more than they can achieve, but as those who, with noble aims, successfully accomplish their endeavors. Emulate not those who expand their dominion widely, but those who make the best use of the power they already possess. Believe that true happiness lies not in ruling the entire world at the expense of fears, dangers, and baseness, but in being the person you should be, acting with moderation, setting your heart on achievable goals, and succeeding in each of them. Be selective in forming friendships, choosing those who are worthy rather than simply those you enjoy the company of. Pick associates based on their ability to assist you in governing the state effectively, and subject them to thorough assessments, recognizing that outsiders will judge you based on your associations. When delegating responsibilities to others, remember that you will be held accountable for their actions. Consider as your most faithful friends those who provide constructive criticism rather than those who praise everything you say or do. Allow those with good judgment the freedom of speech so that, in moments of uncertainty, you have friends who can help you make decisions. Differentiate between artful flattery and loyal service, ensuring that the good are not treated less favorably than the base. Pay attention to what people say about each other, taking into account both the character of the speakers and the subjects of their conversations. Apply the same punishment to false accusers as you would to wrongdoers. Govern yourself as rigorously as you govern your subjects, realizing that true kingship is achieved when you resist pleasures and exercise greater control over your desires than over your people. Be cautious in forming intimacies, valuing the society that contributes to your progress and enhances your reputation. Avoid aspiring to achievements that are within the reach of base individuals. Instead, pride yourself on virtue, an attribute that eludes the base. Understand that genuine respect is earned not through public displays fueled by fear but by private conversations that admire your wisdom rather than your fortune. Keep your lesser pleasures discreet, while demonstrating your passion for matters of utmost importance to the world. Don't believe that kings are exempt from living with restraint while expecting sobriety from all others. Your self-control should serve as an example, understanding that the conduct of the entire state mirrors that of its leaders. Judge your success by observing increased prosperity and temperance among your subjects due to your guidance. Prioritize leaving your children a good reputation over immense wealth. A good name lasts for eternity, while wealth is fleeting. A good name can lead to wealth, but wealth can't purchase a good name. Adorn yourself luxuriously, but maintain simplicity and austerity befitting a king in other aspects of your life. Let your appearance reflect your worthiness for the office, and let those close to you recognize your strength of character. Be vigilant in monitoring your words and actions to minimize mistakes. While seizing opportunities at the right moment is ideal, it's better to fall short than to overreach, as the happy medium is found in deficiency rather than excess. Strive to blend courtesy with dignity, a challenging task, as those who emphasize dignity may seem cold, while those prioritizing courtesy might appear to lower themselves. Cultivate both qualities, avoiding the pitfalls associated with each. When seeking a thorough understanding of matters befitting kings, engage in both study and practical experience. While study guides you, hands-on experience empowers you to handle affairs effectively. Contemplate the fates and happenstances experienced by both ordinary individuals and kings. By reflecting on the past, you can better plan for the future. Acknowledge that while common people may sacrifice their lives to earn posthumous praise, it is shameful for kings not to display the courage necessary for actions that bring them renown during their lifetimes. Aim to be remembered for the essence of your character rather than the physical remnants you leave behind. Strive relentlessly to safeguard both your personal well-being and the security of your state. If ever forced to jeopardize your life, opt for an honorable death over living in disgrace. Always remember your regal status, ensuring that your actions consistently reflect the dignity befitting your station. Ensure that your life isn't completely erased but leaves behind an enduring legacy, considering that you possess a mortal body. Aim to create an imperishable memorial of your soul. Engage in conversations about things that are virtuous and honorable, fostering thoughts that align with your spoken words through consistent practice. Implement what, upon careful reflection, appears to be the best course of action. If there are individuals whose reputations you admire, emulate their deeds. Follow the advice you would give to your children. Utilize the provided precepts or seek even better guidance. Consider wise those who speak eloquently on significant matters, not those who engage in subtle disputes over trivial issues. Regard as wise those who, despite their modest claims, effectively navigate both affairs and interpersonal relationships, demonstrating resilience in the face of life's ups and downs. Don't be surprised that much of what I've said may be familiar to you. This isn't due to oversight on my part. I'm aware that within the vast multitude of people, both in general and among their leaders, there are those who have spoken, heard, observed, or practiced these precepts in their lives. However, in discourses of this nature, novelty isn't the goal. It's not about presenting something paradoxical, incredible, or outside accepted beliefs. Instead, the mark of accomplishment lies in collecting numerous ideas dispersed among the thoughts of others and presenting them in the most effective form. Furthermore, I've been aware from the beginning that while people generally believe that compositions, whether in verse or prose, offering advice on how to live are the most useful, they don't necessarily derive the greatest pleasure from them. In fact, their attitude toward such works mirrors their attitude toward those who give them advice. Although they praise the latter, they choose as companions those who share in, rather than dissuade them from, their faults. To illustrate, consider the poetry of Hesiod, Theognis, and Phocylides. Despite being regarded as excellent guides for human conduct, people still prefer engaging with each other's follies over the teachings of these poets. Similarly, if one were to select the most profound maxims from renowned poets, as we term them, who have encapsulated their best thoughts, people would likely exhibit the same preference. They would lend a more receptive ear to the lightest comedy than to the refined artistry of such compositions. But why should I dwell on specific examples? If we examine human nature as a whole, we will find that the majority of people don't derive pleasure from the healthiest food, the most honorable pursuits, the noblest actions, or the most useful endeavors. Their preferences often run counter to their best interests. Moreover, they tend to view those who prioritize their duties as individuals leading austere and laborious lives with suspicion. How, then, can one offer advice, teach, or say anything beneficial while still pleasing such individuals? In addition to their contrary preferences, they distrust wise individuals while considering those lacking understanding as open and sincere. They avoid facing the realities of life to the extent that they are ignorant of their own interests. They find it burdensome to attend to their own affairs but take delight in discussing others. When it comes to health, they would rather be physically ill than exert their souls and contemplate matters of duty. Observe them in each other's company, and you'll witness the exchange of abuse. Observe them alone, and you'll find them preoccupied not with plans but with idle dreams. It's important to note that I'm addressing only those who are susceptible to the charges I've outlined. However, it is clear that those who aim to write something, whether in verse or prose, that will capture popular appeal should seek out narratives, not necessarily the most instructive discourses but those rich in fiction. The ear finds pleasure in these tales just as the eye enjoys games and competitions. Thus, we can appreciate poets like Homer and the early creators of tragedy, as they, with genuine insight into human nature, have incorporated both types of enjoyment into their works. Homer, for instance, has clothed the contests and battles of demigods in myths, while tragic poets have transformed myths into the shape of contests and actions, presenting them not only to our ears but also to our eyes. With such examples before us, it is evident that those who wish to capture the attention of their audience must refrain from mere admonition and advice. Instead, they should focus on saying things that they observe to be most pleasing to the crowd. I've discussed these matters because I believe that as someone who is not part of the ordinary populace but a ruler over it, you should not share the same mindset as the general public. Your judgment of what is worthwhile and who is wise should not be based on the pursuit of pleasure, but rather on an evaluation of actions that are beneficial. Especially since philosophers, despite debating the proper training for the soul, some arguing for dispute, others for political discussion, and others for different methods for their disciples to attain greater wisdom, all agree that a well-educated individual must, as a result of this training in any discipline, demonstrate the ability to deliberate and make decisions. Therefore, you should steer clear of contentious matters and assess people's worth based on commonly accepted principles. If possible, pay close attention to their views when they express opinions on specific situations, or if that's not feasible, when they discuss general questions. If they lack the knowledge they should possess, reject them because it's evident that if someone is of no value to themselves, they cannot make another person wise. On the other hand, if they are intelligent and can see beyond the ordinary, value and cherish them, recognizing that a good counselor is the most useful and princely of all possessions. Believe that those who contribute most to the greatness of your reign are those who can contribute the most to your understanding. I have shared with you all the valuable advice I can offer, and I present you with these gifts that I have in my possession. Consider, as I mentioned earlier, whether you want your other friends to bring you not the typical gifts, which you obtain at a higher cost from those who give than from those who sell, but presents of a kind that, even if you use them rigorously every day without fail, they will never wear out. Instead, they will grow and appreciate in value over time.